Good morning. Welcome home to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church. I just heard that one of our youngest folks here came in through the door and said, "Yay, church!" And with what we are going through right now, yes, I hope that you get a little of that feeling when you walk in here and we are all together. I know that I do. My name is Reverend Joanna, and my pronouns are she, her. Thank you for joining us this morning. We who bring a teaching of hope, we who bring a saving message, who welcome all in our doors. Jews and Muslims, atheists and pagans, straight, gay, lesbian, and bisexual, cisgender, transgender, non-binary, and intersex, all who are searching, seeking, and looking for more meaning, more service, and more love. All of us gathered here together. I invite you this morning to put your phone on what we call the worship mode. That means it's not going to make any sounds, but you are still encouraged to post about things that you see up here, maybe even an invitation for someone to join you here next week. Would you please rise now, either in body or in spirit, and join us in singing hymn number 204, Come, O Sabbath Day, and please remain standing for our chalice sliding.
Hello? Oh, there we go. Our chalice today is lit by Cassandra. This is a congregation bound not by creed, but by covenant. May those in agreement affirm our church covenant now. We affirm a caring community of and for all ages, seeking wisdom, doing service, and living with integrity. In our diversity, our covenant holds us in unity as we celebrate our shared spiritual journey. Hello, my name is Colleen Beery, and my pronouns are she, her. One thing I particularly like about church is how friendly everyone is here. Visitors and members alike are greeted with a smile and an invitation to join them in worship, fellowship, and other activities. I'd like to welcome any guests we have today. Thank you for taking the chance to walk through our doors and join us for worship. If this is your first time here, please stop by the visitors table so we can meet you and answer any questions you might have. This is a church that is buzzing 7 days a week. The definitive way to keep up with what's happening is through our weekly email newsletter. You can sign up for that at the visitor's desk. You can also go to our website at liveoakuu.org and click on What's Happening. Live Oak UU has many ways for you to connect with our beloved community beyond Sunday. Opportunities are shared on our website or newsletter. One event happening this week is the community lunch that we hold every Wednesday at noon. You're invited to bring your own lunch and meet with others in the fellowship hall to eat in community and friendship. And now the call to worship. This is from A Moment of Rest from Our Journeys by Linda Hart. The travelers had come a long way and had a long way yet to go. Unable to come off the donkey without her husband's assistance, and by the grace of a large stone, still she came down, one hand to her back, feeling the ache through her body. The child in her belly kicked and made her draw a quick breath. Leaning heavily on Joseph's arm, Mary picked her way along the path. Others on the road had told them that here they might find a spring of water so cold it would hurt their teeth. Here they might find a place of shelter and calm where they could bed down for the night. Here we come, too, to find a moment of refreshment and rest from our journeys. No matter where you are going on your journey, no matter if it is your choice to go or if you left by faraway edict, no matter if you carry a burden or the deepest joys, no matter how weary or thirsty you may be, pause here. Take a quick breath. Rest in peacefulness. Be renewed and restored. For in a short while, the journey will continue with its worries and troubles and joys and promise. Until then, let us join together, minds and hearts, and worship.
Each Sunday when we gather as a congregation, we bring with us our joys and sorrows into this room. And when we share them with each other, when we ask for prayers or thoughts or energy, we make of this sanctuary a sacred circle. And we have several today. Sabrina gives a thank you for all of her support as she was moving her things into storage. And Curtis shares, come to the Capitol tomorrow for the TexUGM, that's the Texas UU Justice Ministry Legislative Action in the Rotunda. Curtis will be helping lead music with Reverend Aaron Walter and Reverend Kaya Hartwood. And Diane Sylvan, let's see. We have, I'm sure that y'all have been seeing this too, about the fires that are happening in Gillespie County. Some of our members have friends out there, and so we ask for your energy and thoughts and prayers. And Laura Berryman shares, disappointed and concerned that my mom decided not to join my birthday trip because it is to a sanctuary city. And Tim Buckley shares the joy of seeing 15 people volunteer their Saturday morning improving our church. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Rosella shares, my husband and I adopted a new cat. His name is Salem, and he has many opinions. Tina Van Winkle shares, my Uncle Kirk died on Thursday following surgical complications. The boys and I are heartbroken and regret that we are across the country from our relatives right now. Please keep him, his wife, and their sons in your hearts. And the Reverend George Tiger shares that he won the 50-plus division in the Crazy Desert 100-kilometer trail race, 14 hours, 57 minutes, 55 seconds. Woo! For all of the joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken, we bear witness with our care and concern. Would you please join me in singing?
please rise as you are willing and able for the song, Loosen, Loosen.
Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of your world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. So with our children, we often do some centering exercises. This is, when you have a bunch of high energy children all together, it's a way of helping them center themselves so that they can get ready to listen, think, and wonder together. But one of the things, or two of the things that I'm going to teach you today that they do, I think might help all of us. Especially, does anyone ever have that moment when you think you're fine and then, you turn on your phone or your computer or whatever and you're looking at the news and you start catching yourself breathing really shallowly? Anyone else do that? Yeah, I didn't think that I was alone. Okay. So, and the kids, many of the kids already know this one, so y'all will kind of be our leaders in this. So this exercise is called I Am Here Now. So what I want you to do is hold up one hand in front of you. Can you touch your index finger to your thumb, and then your middle finger, and then your ring finger, and then your pinky? And now what we are going to do, touch your index finger to your thumb and say I. Touch your middle finger to your thumb and say am. Your ring finger to your thumb and say here. And your pinky to your thumb and say now. I am here now. Let's go even slower. I am here now. I am here now. Don't forget to take deep breaths. I am here now. Okay, so that's one. Let me teach you the other one. This is called hand tracing, and what you're going to do is hold your hand up again, but this time the palm is going to be facing towards you, or if you're right-handed, you may want to pull up your left hand. You're going to trace your hand, but what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in when you go upward and breathe out as you go down. So let's go over our thumb. So in, let's try that again. I talked last week about, I admitted that I'm having a hard time these days holding on to reality. You don't have to call for an EMT yet, but we have both the reality of what is going on, and we can't put our heads in the sand over that, but we also need to be reminded sometimes, I'm not there, I'm not on the front lines, I am here right now. And then even when we are out there on the front lines, as some will be tomorrow at the Tex Hugem at the Capitol, it can still be good to take a mini rest and remember, I am here right now.
It's the
reading today is from Rest is Resistance, a manifesto by Tricia Hersey. The resistant part of our Rest is Resistance framework is what drives this world towards a political and social justice movement. It exists in the long-standing Black liberation tradition of a politics of refusal, maroonage, and outlier connection. When I think of resistance, I envision all the small and large ways my ancestors and family remixed and reimagined their lives in a toxic, anti-Black world. The way they went deep into the cracks to create spaces of joy and freedom. This is about more than naps. It is about deep journey towards decolonizing and returning to our natural state before the terror and the lies were given to us. To resist means to soften into the powerful proposal of thriving right now, of not waiting for permission from a toxic culture that blocks justice and moves from a spiritually deficient place. Resistance is a rich spiritual posture. It opens the possibility for reinvention and connection. To know that we are divine and cared for can allow us to refuse the lies of any oppressive system. To declare to the systems, no, you can't have me. My body belongs to me. I will never donate my body to grind culture. I will rest. It's a bold political statement against a system that has used bodies as a tool for oppression for centuries. Our focus is to lay down because it is our divine right to do so, not because it will prepare our bodies to be more productive. Our rest movement is not focused on productivity. It is instead a political and social justice movement rooted in our collective rest. We must resist together. We must liberate together. We must rest together.
So I had the good luck of being born in a time where I was born into a world where we had machines that made our lives easier and that genuinely gave us more free time. Let me go ahead and get that started. There we go. But it was before we had other machines that would take away free time. I grew up in the 1900s, specifically the 1970s, and we had machines that washed and dried our clothes, machines that washed our dishes. And when I was in about middle school, some of you are of an age, you can remember how revolutionary this was. There was this invention of a box, and it went into your kitchen, and it could reheat a plate of food in 30 seconds rather than 30 minutes. Like, for those of you who came after, you don't realize, I mean, this was, like, people would gather around the microwave and watch it work and hope that you didn't leave anything metallic in it because sparks would go everywhere. But this was before the time when the machines would come that would take away our free time. When I was a kid, I remember, like my dad had an office job, and he would come home from work, go and he would hang up his suit and tie, because back then, if you had an office job, that's what you wore. And then he would put on what he called his work clothes, which to a kid was really confusing to me. Didn't you just come from work? I think that they more accurately could have been called play clothes, but, he was a grown-up man, and they didn't, we don't talk about playing it, or at least not in the 70s. And so he would go outside, and he would work in his vegetable garden or out in his shop. I have no idea really what he did there, but it involved tools and a lot of sawdust that my mom would then fuss at him to not track into her clean house. She was a housewife. And in a little bit, the two of them, probably about 6:30, They would sit out on their patio and have a drink and talk about their day. And then we'd all go inside, and my mom was a housewife. We would sit at the table and have a nutritious dinner. After that, my mom or me, as I got older, would clean up the kitchen, and my parents would sit in the living room and they would read the newspaper. And they might watch a little bit of the 10 o'clock news, and then they'd go to bed. How different it is now for most of us. And I realize that I'm talking about a particular slice of life. There have always been people for whom that reality, that's not actually my family, but it could be, especially with the wood paneling on the walls. There's always been people, that have had to do 2 and 3 jobs and still today. But for so many of us, our reality today is you come home, and even though you're at home, you can at all hours check your work email. In fact, depending on the company you work for, it is often highly encouraged. You can pop onto your computer and do a little work, just to get ahead for tomorrow. And it's not just work, it's also our entertainment. My parents did not have a whole lot of competition for rest. It wasn't they could have read a book, maybe watched one episode of a TV show. How different it is now. And this happens so rapidly. Now, okay, you can watch, literally at your fingertips, on your phone, you can watch a television show from when you were a kid or even from before you were born. And come on, who only watches one episode these days, right? You're at least going to be, like a moderate evening is, okay, good. You probably have some good leadership in your home. I probably need it in my home. Or a movie, tonight, just a random weeknight. Hey, you want to watch Casablanca, Pretty Woman, a movie that came out a month ago? And of course, they're making new things, new TV shows, new everything all the time. Games. Let's talk about games. You can play a game on your phone, on the TV, on the computer, on a special thing made just for games. And then, of course, there is social media. We can read about the news, read think pieces about the news, look at memes about the news. We have to be very conscious to actually choose rest. The thing is, these changes happen so rapidly that we as a society never got to say, hey, are there some things we should do, like put in some safeguards? In some countries they have, right? Like in France, if you check an email after work hours, you're going to get in trouble for that. That's just not allowed. But in our country, nope. You can be working 24/7 and you can be entertained 24/7 too. That wasn't always the plan. I remember as a teenager hearing people talk about, oh man, like with these new things, these personal computers and all this other new exciting technology, by the time you're in your 40s, you're going to be working maybe 3 days a week. Anyone else remember hearing those things? And that wasn't a new idea. John Maynard Keynes, back in 1930, he wrote this essay imagining what life was going to be like. This is the British economist, and what life was going to be like for his grandkids. And he wrote an essay around it where he said that by 2030, that's 5 years from now, folks, that by 2030, people would be working 15 hours a week. And then we would have, how quaint. And then, in his view, we would have a whole other problem, and that is, what do we do with all that time? He said, for the first time since his creation, man will be faced with his permanent problem, how to occupy the leisure. Keynes always was like an optimist. It seems that he forgot a central thing in capitalism, which is that for capitalism, number one, capitalism has been built on exploiting labor. And for under capitalism, enough is never enough. There is always more profit to be made, more hours to be worked. And the thing is, we're culpable in this too, right? I remember back in the 1970s, if you wanted to buy something, you either bought it in a store or through mail order. Maybe a catalog or an ad in a magazine at the back of a comic book. Anyone else get their first sea monkeys that way? Do you remember what the delivery estimate was? 6 to 8 weeks. Man, if I gotta wait 48 hours for something now, I'm like all offended because I am a part of this system too. And we want to make successes for ourselves. We have been told by this culture that to work ourselves to exhaustion is a sign of higher morality, right? Capitalism does not care about your well-being and about your rest. And so we, collectively and individually, have got to figure this out. Because I know that practically everyone in this room, including me, right now needs more rest. This year we are talking about the named values of Unitarian Universalism, and this month we're focusing on generosity. Don't forget that generosity to yourself matters too, and giving yourself the time for renewal, for rest, is one of the ways that we can be generous with ourselves. What is rest? For the purposes of this, for the purposes of, I think, really making rest a significant thing in our lives, see rest as being what gives you a reset, what gives you renewal, what gives you restoration. And so rest is going to look very different to different people depending on what kind of rest that you need. Now, there are all different kinds of rest: social rest, spiritual rest, emotional rest. Today, I'm just going to focus on the top two, which is physical and mental. So I'd like you to think right now about what kind of rest you need. And the way that you do that is you first think about just a normal day for you. And retirees, this goes for y'all too. Those retirees that tell me things like, I don't know how I ever had time to work. I'm so busy these days. Where is the majority of your energy spent? Because that's going to give you a clue about what kind of rest you need and what will actually be restful for you. Because rest is not just sleep. In fact, I think most adults know this, you can be getting plenty of sleep and not be well rested. I had a couple of weeks ago, I slept through the night, but I was dreaming of a sermon and trying to figure out a sermon. And I woke up the next morning feeling exhausted. I was like, can I count that as work hours? I didn't. Rest is not just sleep. So how do you spend your energy? If you spend the majority of your energy in physical means, you work construction, you chase a toddler all day or multiple toddlers, you are on your feet, you're a nurse, you're waiting tables. And let me be, each person is going to have to figure this out for themselves. Nurse is a great example, right? Because as a nurse, you are using your brain, but you are also using your body. So you have to figure out in your own life, where is the majority of your energy expenditure happening? Because your way to rest, your way to restoration is probably going to be through spending your energy in the completely opposite way. So, if you use your energy mostly through physical activities, then what may be most restful, what may help you get renewal, is by resting your body, but using your brain. Perhaps it is creating art, or listening to or creating music, or reading, or studying, something like that. Conversely, if you sit at a desk all day and the majority of your energy is going out through your brain, then in order to fully get rested, it may be that what you need is to use your body in some sort of a way. Perhaps it is like my dad going out and working in a garden, or running, or going to the gym, anything where you are using your body and where your brain actually gets a break. Yeah, you may be using your brain in a little way, but it's going to be in rote, predictable ways, right? It's going to be, how many reps am I up to now? How is my form? How many more miles do I have? Some of my friends who are runners will attest to the fact that they run less for physical health and more for mental health, right? Our ultra-marathoner over here.
I will suffer serious depression, legit depression, if I'm not consistent.
Yeah. He says he will suffer serious depression if he's not putting his body through that and giving his brain the rest that comes with that. So I think that's a big part of this, is figuring out what is the kind of rest that you need. For instance, if you're one of those people who the majority of your energy expenditure is coming from your brain, the answer is not to feed your brain more information, to sit reading, doom scrolling, reading more articles and more articles. Your brain needs to rest. Now, let me also talk a little bit about differentiating between numbing and rest. Numbing is where you are hitting the pause button. And when you hit the pause button again or hit the play button, you're going to go right back to where you were. That's what differentiates numbing and rest, is that with rest you actually get some restoration, you get some renewal. You come back into who you are, you have some creativity that you thought had been gone, you have some energy. With numbing, you don't get that. Numbing is simply a break, a pause. And hear me say this, right now, you probably need both. When we are going through a crisis, and some of you who have gone through a crisis before, where it's something really time constrained, just a diagnosis or a death in the family, or you just got news about a divorce, one of the things that we've talked about is I have probably asked you, okay, do you have a way to take even a 3-minute mental break? Do you have a stupid game on your phone? Can you pick up a magazine like People magazine? Anything so that you can actually take a pause and just escape for a moment. Right now, we are going through a crisis. We are. Everything that is happening in the larger picture, both in our state and in our country, we have no idea. We do not have the stability of knowing what life is going to be like 6 months from now. We need to have some of that numbing. The issue is, don't stay there. At some point, you have to hit the play button again. Numbing can help us also to pause so that then we can do something that will be genuine rest. Going for a walk in the park, again, listening to music, whatever it is that will give you some renewal. The book that the reading was from, and that the title of this sermon is from, Rest is Resistance. It's called Rest is Resistance, a Manifesto. and I highly encourage it. It goes right now, I'm just talking about sort of the pragmatic stuff of A, you need rest, B, let's figure out how to get the kind of rest that we need. But the book goes into the larger picture that I think we have to face of so many of the things that we have felt are ethical truths are built on this idea of grind culture. And it is the culture of slavery. It is the culture of white supremacy. It is the culture that says it is fine for a rich person to benefit off of the back-breaking labor of others who do not have those means. In her book, she says, you are worthy of rest. We don't have to earn rest. Rest is not a luxury, a privilege, or a bonus we must wait for once we are burned out. I hear so many repeat the myth of rest being a privilege, and I understand this concept and still deeply disagree with it. And let me pause and say she is very clear in her book, she is writing from her lived experience as a black woman in the United States. Rest is not a privilege because our bodies are still our own, no matter what the current systems teach us. The more we think of rest as a luxury, the more we buy into the systematic lies of grind culture. Our bodies and spirits do not belong to capitalism, no matter how it is theorized and presented. Our divinity secures this, and it is our right to claim this boldly. I'm not grinding ever. I trust the Creator and my ancestors to always make space for my gifts and talents without needing to work myself into exhaustion. We all need rest. Collectively, there is a whole lot of work we need to do to figure out the systems that support us not getting what we need. But in order to do that, first, we need some restoration. I invite you to join me in a tiny little pocket of rest right now in this moment of meditation and reflection. And the words today are coming from Thich Nhat Hanh. My dear friends, suppose someone is holding a pebble and throws it in the air, and the pebble begins to fall down into a river. After the pebble touches the surface of the water, it allows itself to sink slowly into the river. It will reach the bed of the river without any effort. Once the pebble is at the bottom of the river, it continues to rest. It allows the water to pass by. I think the pebble reaches the bed of the river by the shortest path because it allows itself to fall without making any effort. During our sitting meditation, we can allow ourselves to rest like a pebble. We can allow ourselves to sink naturally without effort to the position of sitting, the position of resting. Resting is a very important practice. You have to learn the art of resting. Resting is the first part of Buddhist meditation. You should allow your body and your mind to rest. Our mind, as well as our body, needs to rest. The problem is that not many of us know how to allow our body and mind to rest. We are always struggling. Struggling has become a kind of habit. We cannot resist being active, struggling all the time. We struggle even during our sleep. It is very important to realize that we have the habit energy of struggling. We have to be able to recognize a habit when it manifests itself, because if we know how to recognize our habit, it will lose its energy and will not be able to push us anymore. And let's hold that for a moment in silence. Amen, and blessed be.
We are the tradition of the Free Church. Our church and our community outreach are supported not from an outside source, but from within. We invite you to make a financial contribution to help sustain this church's vital work, knowing that every gift, large or small, is appreciated and carefully used in service to our mission. The QR code or text information for donations is available at the back seat pocket. If you'd like to pay or donate by credit card, Apple, or Google Pay, someone from stewardship can assist you near the kitchen after service. Every week, we share what is given with an organization whose work reflects our own UU values. This month, we are giving to our ESL and adult basic education programs. To tell you more, here is our church president, Becky Gregory.
Hi there. I just wanted to remind you guys that the board made a decision to, as sort of a experiment, to use 4 months of the year. They will be separated in the quarters of the year, but to use 4 months of the year to benefit programs that we have within the church that are social service oriented or public facing programs. This month we are focusing and highlighting ESL, English as a Second Language, and ABE, which is Adult Basic Education. We have hundreds of students in these programs, and they're one of the primary ways that our church reaches out directly to people in our own community to help them, which certainly is one of our primary values at this church. So I wanted to ask you to really dig deep, give as much as you can, put a few extra dollars in the basket, go online and decide to, put in $100. This will be your month. We need the help that keeps these programs going and prevents the volunteers who work endless hours at this from having to pay themselves for books and materials that these students need. It's really important that we do this. I wanted to remind you that you can go online and hit the donate button. I must be hungry. And donate. Specify that it's for ESL, ABE, or for Share the Plate. It's really easy. Even I have figured out how to do it. In this song that we just sang, we talked about giving life the shape of justice. And Reverend Joanna has talked about, we are here now. And you can make a difference. This is right here in the walls of this church that we can reach out to people who have really risked a lot to be in this country and to make a life here. in ways that so many of us have been so fortunate about. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I just wanted to remind you, it's all month of March, every Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. This congregation is owned by the members themselves. Each UU congregation is an independent organization, self-funded and self-governed. Our treasurer will now give us a report.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Catherine Enyart. My pronouns are she, her, and I am honored to serve as the treasurer for this congregation. Hopefully, if you look at the newsletter, and if you don't, please do, we put in the newsletter each month, just once a month, not every single week, the report, the current report for the budget. And one thing I was thinking about the reports is the budget is an ever-moving target of, we have a budget set, but the income and the expenses, and it's kind of like ocean waves and tides, and we take a stab at it at the end of the previous month and say, here's the state of the budget. And it's like one little snapshot in this moving whole thing. And there's a lot of moving parts. And one thing that I realized in talking to some people is that we do have paid staff, clearly, but not everybody that does the work of the church is paid staff. Many of us are volunteers. All of the people that serve on committees and the boards are volunteers. And so one thing I wanted to tell you all is, if you have any questions about the budget or about your own personal pledge, or if you want to know more about how these things all work together to enable us to do the work that we do, you can certainly see me, and there's other members of the board, or our assistant treasurer, Barbara Coldiron, and our church administrator, who is also our bookkeeper, is very knowledgeable about the ins and outs and the comings and goings of our finances. But also, just so you know, our board meetings, which we have one this afternoon at 1 o'clock, are open meetings. You can always attend if you're curious to see like what goes on in these meetings, like take a peek behind the curtain. Certainly not the most interesting thing for some people. Some of y'all might really be super interested. We are very happy to have a finance committee that meets and develops policy suggestions and ideas for the board to think about, because what we're trying to do is always be looking to the future and how we can remain a functional church that is ever continuing our mission to reach out into the community and to serve our members. And the only way we can do that, sadly, unfortunately, is we have to be well funded. So this year, right now, we did our sort of mini pledge drive. We didn't roll over pledges like we did last year. And you all responded very nicely and very well. And we have received enough pledges to feel like our budget is in pretty good shape. We're a little ahead of on the income at this point in the year, because some people pay their full year at the beginning of the year. So thank you all for those who do that. There's all kind of ways to do it. And if you have any questions or comments, or you want to know more, please let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. As the ushers come forward to receive the offering, I invite you to say these words with me. We are building beloved community with our labor and with our treasure. With gratitude, we receive the offering. May it help us to fulfill our mission in this world.
We are not going back to the 1970s. And there's a lot of things in the 1970s, like needing to get my husband's permission to have a checking account that, I really don't want to. I do kind of like a lot of this technology stuff. Here's the perhaps harder realization of we are not going back to 2015. We are not going back to 2023. This is not a short thing that we are on. We are going to be called to step forward. We are already being called to step forward to defend democracy and to protect those who are the most marginalized, the ones who are getting targets put on their backs as we speak. You will not be able to do that if you are not also figuring out how to find renewal and your reset button and rest. Let us figure out how to rest together. And as Willow said this morning, yay, church!
Hi, Chris isn't here, so I'm going to tell you all about faith development this morning. The nursery is open until 12:45 for our youngest members. The children's choir is meeting in room 205. Parents and guardians, please sign your children in. The youth gathering is in 209. It's pastoral care peer training. Adults are in room 105 for What Moves Us, where we will explore Hosea Ballew's Theology of Happiness and its relevance to Unitarian Universalism today. There is Breeze training in room 106 from 11:15 to 12:30. You can join Tim Buckley for a quick and easy introduction to the Breeze Church Management System. In just one session, you will learn how to access your personal account and explore the features available to you. Tim is offering training on Sundays after the service in room 106 for the next 5 weeks. Just drop into whatever works for you. Jedi. A lot of people are asking themselves, what can I do right now? Our Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion team can help you with the question. Come to the Jedi team meeting today at 11:15 in the library. They are currently making plans for making good trouble and can use your input. Lastly, this may hit you well, the meditation group is from 12:30 to 2 upstairs in room 208. Whatever you choose, we invite you to get connected in this welcoming community. Let's work together to empower dreams, encourage growth, and embrace joy. There's a place for you here. I invite you to rise for our closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life, and remain standing for the extinguishing of our chalice. Cassandra, come on up. We invite you to say the words to each other to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the flame here, that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. You can sit. Thank you. It's been a gift to be together today. Thank you to our home team who provided hospitality, worship, and tech support. Marjorie, Cheryl, Eileen, Dawn, Lindy, Becky, Mark, Tina, Laurice, and Christina. Let's continue that hospitality by spending the next 5 minutes talking with someone that you maybe don't know well. Members, be sure to introduce yourself to any first-time visitors we have. They're the ones with the handwritten name tags. Show them where the visitors table and the coffee are. And may we all know the blessings of fellowship.